Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yoav Tzruya. I'm a partner at Jerusalem Venture Partners, one of Israel's leading venture capital firms. And Yossi already mentioned earlier that he got the graveyard panel, so I guess we got the afterlife slot. And I think it's a good descriptor of this panel because we believe that cybersecurity threats can turn our life into hell over the next few years, or with the help of these companies into something more, reasonable to live in. So with that, if we can have the presentation on the screen. Can you switch to the main presentation? Okay, great. So I wanted to give you a brief overview of how we see the cybersecurity issue, problem, challenge, as you might want to call it, and why is Israel well positioned to take advantage of this tremendous business opportunity that is presenting itself lately. We'll then hear from the panelists about how each of them come from a specific space, whether it is on the critical infrastructure side, on the SME, small, medium businesses side, or on the mobile side, how they're going to solve the respective issues. So just one slide about JVP. So JVP has been around for 20 years. We invested in 95 different companies. We've been designated as a top 10 global venture capital firm by measuring parameters such as IRR and TVPI. And we've generated more than 25 exits, 11 IPOs, 15 trade M&As, generating over $17 billion of transaction value to our investors. So really, what do we have in place in Israel that allows us to turn from startup nation, as we heard earlier, into a cyber nation? Just to calibrate everyone, get everyone on the same page in regards to the problem. So the World Economic Forum estimates that the damages related to cybersecurity attacks, the direct damages, exceed $100 billion a year. The indirect damages reach almost $400 billion a year. The average cost of a cyber breach is multi-million dollars. It doesn't really matter if you're a small business or a large business. The average cost is about $6 million. There are tens of millions, if not more, new forms of cyber attacks that are revealed every year. And that's growing tremendously over the last few years with the existing tools, whether it's antivirus software, intrusion prevention system, firewalls, and so forth, preventing only about 15% or so of such attacks. So it's a huge problem. The current solutions cannot cope with it. If you look at what is actually driving that, then we see that the existing solutions are based on paradigms that are not valid anymore. The paradigms related to the IT infrastructure, to the information technology infrastructure that most businesses run their businesses on the fact that they are based on the fact that we have a controlled network, that the organization has a perimeter, that we can have a perimetric kind of defensive set of tools against such attacks, and that we can clearly separate the world between the good guys and the bad guys. Now, all these assumptions are not valid anymore. We need to cope with new IT design, with mobile devices, with the fact that we're moving from hundreds of millions of internet-connected devices to tens of billions such internet-connected devices, where our refrigerator can talk to our hi-fi system, to our car, to our security system. Each one of them is completely accessible remotely. We need to understand that enterprises do not have perimeters anymore, neither on the infrastructure side with cloud and so forth, as well as on the business side with the proliferation of extranet solution and the fact that we allow our customers to access our information systems and so forth. And we need to take a different approach to how cyber solutions are available, are presenting themselves. And in Israel, really, we've got a full ecosystem of what is needed in order to provide such set of solutions. It starts from the fact that Israel has been threatened for many years by our enemies, essentially, including on the cyber front. And we've developed along the years in the different defensive organization, the IDF and other such like organizations, skill sets that are critical to provide both, of course, cyber attack capabilities as well as cyber defensive capabilities. The office of the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is fully committed to positioning Israel as a cyber nation and has allocated budget to allow for startups, such as the startups that we see here today, to actually become leaders in their own respective spaces. Israeli academia is leading the world today in terms of both the infrastructure needed, such as cryptography, as well as other topics related to information security. We've heard earlier about the multinational corporation R&D center. Many of the world's cybersecurity R&D centers are located today in Israel. And we've got obviously a very active set of startups and large companies that are operating in the space. And it's really a perfect storm opportunity from a business perspective and generates a great investment opportunity for people investing in cybersecurity companies in Israel for the reasons I mentioned earlier. I'll finish with one more thing. We at JVP identified this opportunity as well as some other VCs that are sitting here in the audience with whom we collaborate. And this is the reason why we are opening nowadays what we call the National Cyber Labs in Be'er Sheva in the south of Israel, which is becoming a hotbed for startups with the Israeli Defense Forces technology units moving from the center of Israel to the south of Israel, with companies like EMC, like Deutsche Telekom and others identifying that and opening R&D center in Be'er Sheva. We've opened up the National Cyber Labs Center that allows for young startup in the cybersecurity space to really come in and enjoy the ecosystem that is being developed there. So with that, I'd like to turn to the panelists to quickly introduce themselves and let us know what you're doing and what's your experience in the field. Mark, if you want to begin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yoav, and thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. So 20 years ago, after doing 7.5 years in the Israeli military, I left the army and was hired to do penetration tests to banks, which is in normal English, basically robbing banks and being paid for it. So that was the start of my civil career. And then I moved to establish in other companies in telecommunications sector. One of them I sold to Shamrock, which is a Disney family fund here. And for me, it's a great pleasure to come back to the cybersecurity by managing a company called Theta-Ray, which is a company that does anomaly detection and cybersecurity by finding anomalies in extremely big data. And this company has an edge because it's an academic research done by a professor in Tel Aviv University jointly with a professor in Yale University. So somebody spoke about the cooperation between the United States and Israel. I think this company is an excellent example. And the flag is too early, so you can take it back, the Chinese flag.
Stick it back.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris.
I'm Chris Weltzein. I'm the CEO of SixScan. SixScan simplifies website security for small businesses. It's my third startup in the security space. I was with a company called Zone Labs back in 2000 when cybersecurity was something people really weren't as tuned into. We built that up I was employee 20 there, we built that up and sold it to Checkpoint in 2005 for $300 million. Then I started a company that did website security, and we sold it to AVG, a Czech firm. And I think that, really what I like about SixScan is the fact that it's early, we're 7 employees, we've got a lot of enthusiasm in our users, and we address a huge growing problem.
Hi, it's great to be here. So I'm Zook from Zimperium, I'm the founder and CEO. You can say I started as a security researcher in the Israeli intelligence. I was actually running with keyboards. After my army, I served in a different type of army named Samsung. There I did this extreme research on how to hack refrigerators or other things that you have described. It's actually very useful for the attackers. And after that, in the age of 22, I started Zimperium. That's it.
Great. So, guys, can you make it more tangible to the audience in regards to really what are these attacks that you guys are defending against? You know, how big is the problem? Can you give a concrete example of such an attack that has occurred in the past? Mark, if you want
Yeah.
to.
So I will start. Can I have the presentation? Because I have few examples. And for purpose, I took examples from the American press. So let me see if we can see the Chinese flag.
Can you restate the name of your company? You're not up on.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't on that list. We believe in security by obscurity. And it's a joke. And
It's very stealth.
the name of the company is Theta-Ray. Theta-Ray. Yeah. And this is from the American press. In February 2013, which is this year, Chinese sponsored forces attack 140 victims in 20 industries, steal sensitive data. And what's really important is that the average time it took to find attacks, to identify that those companies has been penetrated, took almost a year. I don't know if you know, but the average time of attack is about 2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks to attack and infect a company. It takes about a year to identify that the company is infected. Imagine how much data can be stolen. Another one, different industry. Aramco in Saudi Arabia doing oil business. Shamoon virus attacks 30,000 computers. And the idea is to destroy oil and gas production. The network was down for almost a week. True story. And this one I like because it's only 6 days old. A quote saying that Mandiant, which is the leading consulting firm here in the United States, says that they believe that there is a suspected Iranian presence in, and that they penetrated the network of US energy firms. So the big question is why? You know, with all the antivirus software, with all the solutions that we can buy, still those companies, still this critical infrastructure has been penetrated. And I guess we'll talk more about it, but that's what Theta-Ray does. In Theta-Ray, we protect critical infrastructure against what we call strategic attacks. And the strategic attacks are attacks that intend to destroy our life, to attack physical infrastructure. And our goal is to make a world a little bit safer by protecting against those attacks.
Great. Chris, what does a 6-scan do, and what do you protect against?
Can I hop around here? Boom.
You can skip it.
Yeah.
One more.
An example of attack that we protect against is the attacks that Mark talked about, high profile, they get big headlines. But the reality is that the small businesses, the startup companies, the mom and pop shops, they're getting attacked just as often, nonstop, every hour of every day. And their nightmare scenario is something that happened to the site that you see here, small UK real estate site. They rent cottages in the summer. First week of May, turns out they've been hacked. You can't tell on the website, but when the browsers visit it, when the search engines find out that it's hacked, when people's toolbars, when the security tools find out that it's hacked, you cannot get to that website. Now think about that if you're a small business. This is going to be the 20% window of the year where you generate 80% of your revenue and you're shut off from Google. You are crippled. And you call us and we help you, but the fact is the damage is done. It's going to take 4 days to 4 weeks for Google to re-index them and show that they're clean. And so what we're really focused on at 6scan is proactive, is empowering these businesses to take control of their website security so this doesn't happen.
So I know that you're going to tell us a bit about the kind of attacks that you protect against, but I know that you also took the time during the break earlier, instead of getting some dessert, you actually hacked some of the audience's accounts.
Yeah.
So,
So first, someone asked what we're doing, so that's I should explain a bit about that. So we're doing end-to-end solutions for enterprises. We provide them diagnostic tools to actually detect what threats and what they're vulnerable to. So basically like cancer, we show them what cancer looks like, but we also show them how the cure looks like, and we also provide them the medicine to actually protect from those kind of attacks. We did the first intrusion prevention system for smartphones, and I'm a bit worried today because I was asked by Yoav to provide examples of attacks, and I was about to provide two different examples, one in the Netherlands and one in Tel Aviv. But I can provide you today. Today, once we did the detection to actually check if our engine can detect those attacks today, it was kept alarming us. So when I actually checked the attacks, I found out that there was 3 different attackers on this network attacking you. So just saying that, you're all vulnerable. You're all actually being attacked. So everyone who used the network, I can actually connect that and show. So we did a small example. Okay, I have it. Here we go. So this is someone's, I don't recognize the face because I didn't want to enter the actual profile, etc. This is a vulnerability we found in LinkedIn a few weeks ago. We actually reported that to them, and they're already working on a fix. So that's good for us, but they're still vulnerable. But that's not the only website. So Bank of America, LinkedIn, Facebook, we have seen Amazon. We have seen all of those are vulnerable to the same types of attacks, but it's not only that. So all of you are vulnerable today to the same attacks that we can demonstrate using this user. So we can read his messages, we can do more than that. We actually didn't because we just want to show what the threat is. But this is just one example out of many users today who use the Wi-Fi today. More than 200 people, I think, the last time I scanned. More than 200 people today was actually vulnerable to the same types of attacks. So I can go back to the slides and continue. I hope you're not too scared, but that's what happened.
We need to switch to the other presentation.
That's on your
please.
laptop? Is that hooked up? Yeah.
Okay, so the threat is obvious. I mean, once you connect today from your smartphone to the organization, and then you go to Starbucks, for example, just now, Starbucks did this new contract with AT&T. They called the new Wi-Fi as AT&T Wi-Fi. And all those networks are vulnerable to the same attacks. So basically, anytime you go to Starbucks, you can get hacked. And this phone can be used to hack again your organization. Once you connect to the secured network with the password, you're the one who is bringing the threat inside, but you don't know about it. To continue? Okay, so what kind of threats there are? There are 3 types of threats. Phone can get hacked in three ways. So apps, you can download the malicious apps, everybody knows about it, but it's not interesting because if I want to target the CEO of IBM or the CEO of LinkedIn, the odds for me to develop an app that you will actually download are very small. This is not targeted, this is only widespread, so I get as many users as possible. If I want to do host-based attacks, then it can be both widespread and targeted. I can send you a PDF to your email. Once you open the PDF, you get hacked. This is easier because I can have their emails quite easily. And the third one is the most interesting and most dangerous one. So this has 100% conversion rate because there is no interaction with the user. In the host-based attacks, the victim actually needs to open the file. He doesn't need to install anything, just to open a PDF file on his phone. But on the network-based, you don't need to do anything. So all the people here that were attacked by 3 different people, including me, but I'm not doing damages. I don't know who the other 2. So they can be easily targeted and being a victim for those kinds of attacks, and they will never know about it. That's next slide. So
let's get back to that maybe later. So I think it would be interesting also for the audience to understand, Mark, if you can relate to that, is how sophisticated have the bad guys become, really? I mean, both from a state-nation kind of perspective as well as from the, obviously, the technical side, but also the economic kind of nature that these attack vectors have taken over the last few years. Can you give us a little bit of sense about the sophistication of these attacks?
Definitely. So, I've often been asked why the world is so dangerous, why why we just can't build a system that will protect our critical infrastructure. And when I'm talking about critical infrastructure, I'm talking about airplanes and cars and factories and the electric grid. And let me share with you the other side, the dark side of the what we call cyber warfare. Have you heard about zero-day attack? Some of you did. Basically, zero-day attack is an attack or an exploit or a backdoor that nobody knows. And the value of this attack is that when they activate it, it's too late. And by the way, if some of you would like to make some money, if you find this backdoor and you sell it, you can sell it to governments, you can sell it to Russian mafia. There are many guys that would like to buy it from you. Average price would be $50,000 for selling backdoor. By the way, if this backdoor is known, if it's what's called known attack, not a zero-day attack, then the price can go as low as $500 or even free. So you should understand that there is a big motivation for bad guys to develop very sophisticated techniques to find backdoors. And then people ask, yeah, but why there are backdoors? Now, average software, and I know that many of you are coming from software industry, average software today has about 50 million lines of code. Now, it's impossible to make those software programs without any bugs, unless, of course, there are smart guys like Suk, but most of us can't do it. So every software has a backdoor, every software has an exploit. Those bad guys work very hard to discover those exploits, sell them to governments, sell them to criminal institutions, and those criminal institutions try to attack cybersecurity. And the more money is involved, the more dangerous it is. I think yesterday in Wall Street Journal there was a publication about guys that made, I think, $2 billion in fraud attacks. It's often done by breaking into many computers, converting virtual money to real money. So basically, there is a lot of capital involved. And the more capital will be involved, which obviously drives the danger, it also drives business for companies like ourselves.
I think that, guys, if you want to take your competitor website today, all you need is $500. If you know the right website and the right forum to go to, you pay $500 and you can buy what's known as a denial of service attack against your competitor website. There are people that have created what's known as botnets, especially, it's essentially a sort of dormant networks of bots, okay, that are just waiting for the right command, and it can be millions of end-user computers that are just waiting for a command. Once this command is issued, they can attack your competitor website, shut a website down, or just shut a whole network down for that matter.
Sharona, by the way, just for the Israeli conference, if you buy it now, you will get $350 ability to destroy a website of your competitor.
Anyway, so that's what we're really facing. But Chris, for SMEs, they're not a real target, I would say, for those Russian mafia or nation states.
Yeah.
So why do they care? And how when you market your solution, which is obviously providing a great level of defense against such attacks, how can you persuade them even to take your solution? They're not even aware that they're being attacked.
Well, first, actually, there is a common misconception. The B to small b, which is really what we're working with, is not a victim of state-sponsored terrorism, but it is a victim of the of gangsters, of cyber criminals. This is actually how they get money to fund all their other activities, is stealing from us, basically. And how many people here have clicked on a link in an email that they received from someone they didn't know? Nobody does it anymore. Oh, okay. Wow, brave people admitting it in public too. When I first started in the antivirus business about 12 years ago, everybody did that. And that's how all the viruses spread. Not so many people do that anymore. But how many people here will visit a website that they've never been to before? Everybody does it. That's what the web's for. And the bad guys have realized this is where you attack. You attack into the websites, you insert 0 days. And it's called a drive-by download. Somebody comes and visits the site and they install that virus on your computer. And that's how they're doing it. And they don't even know that it's happening. And there are two ways that we're really looking at of raising awareness here. And neither one of them involves us spending any money. One is similar in 2000, basically, the press is starting to catch on to this. Fox Business News declared small businesses the #1 cyber target in 2013. That's huge, raising awareness. People call it fear-mongering. The fact is, if they knew half of what was going on, they'd turn off their computers and shut down their businesses. It scratches the surface. I mean, what Mark sees on a daily basis would scare the hell out of everybody. The second piece that we're working with is advocates. We work closely in the WordPress community, and this can work for any of the startups. You find the security version of Sharona, and you convince her that you're the solution, and they spread the word. And that's how it's going in small business right now. It's going slowly, which is why it's a huge problem. 160 million active websites right now. 5 years, I see it like the antivirus space. There's going to be 90% penetration for website security in about 5 years because they're totally unprotected, and it's a huge target. So those are really the two ways that we see awareness growing in the small business space.
Great. And Zuk, I know that you work on the mobile side, and obviously enterprises today are equipping their headcount with devices such as smartphones, such as tablets, and it's going more and more towards the bring your own device kind of paradigm, where people actually take their personal devices and use it for work-related purposes. So can you give a bit of highlights about the type of attacks and the challenges that enterprises face today, especially with bring your own device and such trends?
Yeah, so there are many new trends today, and it's not the traditional IT infrastructure anymore. If you can bring back the slides, it will be helpful. I just want to go back quick for the actual black market. So when I finished my Army service, about a few months later, I received an offer for $100,000 to do a work just for 1 week. It was obviously a malicious work. I decided not to do it, and then I decided I will never do anything like that. This is where I also started to think about Zimperium to actually solve those kind of issues. The problem about it, this is like such emails that I receive about 2 to 3 a month, at least, about either buying or selling 0 days. You would think for yourself, okay, how many attacks there are? So Chris just mentioned that you need to go to a specific website, right? But how would you go to this website? Whether you click on a link on an email, right? You'd maybe click, maybe not. That requires interaction. The third way to do it, as I said before, you don't even need to go to this website. I can make you to enter this website without your knowledge. So you go to bankofamerica.com, but I decide you should see a different website. I decide that there should be a small iframe, that actually triggers the exploit on your device and hacks it. So this is how it goes. In terms of the organization now and how BYOD is affecting organizations, so every organization, 81% of the organizations today, according to Forbes, have some kind of bring your own device. So whether it's tablets, smartphones, or even going with a laptop and going out again. So once you connect to your organization with the same device that you use for work, whether it's just for email or even worse, VPN. If you have VPN on your phone and you just went to Starbucks, someone just hacked your phone, and now it doesn't just hack your phone and your emails, which is critical enough because all of us has critical things on their emails, right? Now you also hack the organization. I've seen solutions like partial VPN.
I think this is a great point that people, this is a great example of why traditional security solutions are not good enough anymore. I mean, VPNs, virtual private networks, this has been the buzz for security for a few years, really creating sort of a tunnel between the end user and the organization. And what essentially this creates today with the fact that a lot of people use their own devices, it creates a highway for the bad guys to enter into organizations. So we don't need to crawl through the pipes and everything. If you have the highway, right, you use the VPN, they just use it and enter every server and every machine on the enterprise's network.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have partial VPN and you partially going securely, partially not. Then you got the attacker into your organization through the not secured, so you're as strong as your weakest link. And then he hacks your phone, and from there he hacks the organization. So you would think, okay, what can I do once I hack the phone? Once you connect with the same phone to the organization, I can use your phone as a proxy to attack any other device and compromise any other device with any other type of attack. We actually show that in our diagnostic toolkit, that you can do that kinds of attacks. Regarding the 0 days again, so you would ask how many 0 days there are. You would think it's only a few because the price is very high. It costs about 100,000. It can even reach 500K for an iPhone vulnerability. iPhone vulnerability, by the way, is not much different than Android. They're both insecure today. So, for example, I found 100 bugs in PDF viewer of Android. I presented that at Intel Security Conference. So I have 100 different ways to hack your device once you open a file. That's it. There are too many vulnerabilities, and you're at real risk. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so now that you scared us, let's...
Oh, you have a solution. You can buy our software. That's true.
So really, what are... we heard about the difficult and the number of such attacks and the difficulties about finding out such solutions and defending against them. But Mark and the rest of the panel, APTs and zero-day attacks. Okay, why are, we understood the numbers are high. Why are they so challenging from a technical perspective to defend against? I mean, it's like, okay, so if you find out those 100 bugs, which I guess some of them are applicable for zero-day attacks at least, I guess that the QA teams in those respective organizations can also deal with that. Why is that so challenging for large? Mark, if you want to begin.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a very good question, and of course it creates enormous market opportunity because it's so challenging. Because basically, zero-day attack by definition is something that you don't know. That you don't know. And the good news is that when the first company or first corporation has been attacked, then the others are relatively protected because they can install antivirus solutions or other security solutions. And I think Chris presented a very good solution for small to medium enterprises. But the problem is that if we're talking about critical infrastructure, the first strike could be an emergency, a country emergency. And up until now, nobody could manage it. It's basically looking for a needle in a haystack, a huge haystack, a national-side haystack, but with a caveat. You even don't know how the needle looks like. And the way we deal with it is we look at the enormous number of parameters. We look at the network, we look at the different parameters of the network, on the timing, on dimensions, etc. Something that mathematically is impossible to compute. And again, we're lucky to have these two professors that work for like 10 years, enslaving tens of PhDs to help them to develop a solution that can take this huge multidimensional universe to make it something that can be computational and to discover those attacks. But it's definitely extremely difficult by definition. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a zero-day attack.
Mm-hmm. Great. Guys, can you maybe, we're closely running out of time, so can you give your own personal perspective? And each of you has a nice story about, your current company and returning back into the cyber world, or graduating from the IDF and starting a company and so forth. So from your personal perspective, what makes Israel unique? I mean, we heard about the macro picture, but from your personal perspective, what makes Israel unique to tackle and provide solutions in the cybersecurity space? Zok, if you want to start. Okay.
So first, the reason that all those attacks are happening is because smartphones developed really fast. Nobody thought to catch up with security. So they entered our life really fast. Some vendors offered certain types of security, but it's not covering all the aspects of the attacks. In terms of what makes Israel the cyber nation, in a way, you see lots of researchers coming out of the army, for example, or I know Israelis like to hack. Israelis like to think differently. They like to have challenges and solve them. So basically, I think the usual Israeli out-of-the-box thinking really helps to build cyber companies because you need out-of-the-box solutions in order to solve such attacks, such as zero-day attacks. I think that covers it.
And Chris, after Zone Labs and Checkpoint and AVG, Zone Labs and AVG essentially being non-Israeli companies, right? Why all of a sudden, find a great R&D team, but 5,000 miles away or whatever? Why do that all over again and in Israel?
Yeah, I think there are two things. One is in 2005, 2006, the U.S., we kind of got out of the security business. I mean, one of the reasons why Zone Labs sold the Checkpoint was there was this thing that Microsoft is going to fix it. Eventually, the OS will be secure. Yeah, that worked out great. And people ask me, I worked at AVG and I worked with a company called They're huge European companies, hundreds of millions of users, really took a lot of the AV market away from Symantec. And everyone asked me, why did that happen? And it happened because they didn't think Microsoft was going to solve it. They didn't give up on the idea that security was important. And so I think that's part of it. And then the other piece is the co-founders of our company, Itzhal Myron, who's here, and Yaron Tal. This is going to be a big shock. They came out of the Israeli military, and they were in the cyber defense part of the military. And so there's a huge, I think, ecosystem there. And Bill touched on it earlier. The mentoring and the motivation that I see in Tel Aviv, and I've been spending some time there this year, is really spectacular. And it's different than it is in San Francisco. It's far more concentrated. Bill's comment about he went and met a guy, and that guy introduced him to 8 guys, and those guys, that's exactly what happened to me when I went. And so really, I think the culture and the ecosystem in Tel Aviv is really part of that. And I think that the U.S. sort of abdicated cybersecurity.
And Mark, finally, I think that you were one of the first hackers doing penetration testing on Israeli banks. And then you went on and built one company that reached $100 million in revenue, and another, you ran a business unit of NICE, which is operating also in the security space. Similar size of revenue. What made you go back to a startup?
So first I would like to ask, I'm Israeli, so I should answer your question by saying what I want to say. So I just want to touch on why Israel. And I think that necessity is the mother of innovation. We are a small, beautiful country living in a very difficult neighborhood. So we don't have any choice. We have to be innovative. And maybe it answers the second question. I was very much inspired by the previous presentation on keynote. And I think I can't help it. I establish a company, then I sell the company, and suddenly I see a new area, and I see enormous growth opportunity, and I see a great market. So yeah, I have an excuse for myself, like I'm trying to build a safer world. But I think in reality, it's just such a fun. Why not?
Okay, thanks, guys. So, guys, we didn't want to scare you, although Tzuk found many interesting details about many of you during his hack attempts. But I think that we're really facing a time of urgency, I would say, in cybersecurity. And we're seeing more and more attacks every year, and damages associated with each such attack is growing higher. And definitely we need, the good guys need to find a collaborative framework to come up with the right solutions to tackle these issues, which is still not there, by the way. Not from a funding perspective, not from a collaboration and information sharing perspective. Governments actually don't share information with the industry about the attacks that they experience, and to allow us to provide better solutions. But we work with these companies and others to actually turn that situation around. And With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have on this topic. Please.
Yeah, when you guys go out to sell your solutions to a prospective customer, does the company tell you, we don't think we have a problem? Do they tell you, we think your solution's too expensive? We don't believe your solution works? How do we know you're not the bad guy? How do you deal with that? What are you finding in the marketplace?
So everybody tells us that we are too expensive. Of course, there is seriously there is an issue of credibility, because here companies, you know, at what we say closed doors, do say that they have a problem. That's why, for example, in Theta-Ray, we are very lucky to have JVP as our patrons and investors. So when we come to big organizations, we not only bring the knowledge and the academic background, but we also bring JVP as the investor that's chosen to invest in the company. It really helps.
But I think that in that respect, specifically in the Theta-Ray example, which is a critical infrastructure, and the largest network in the world, this is their customer base. It's really tough to persuade a customer to let us do a PR, press release or whatever, on the fact that they acquired such a solution. Because they really don't want to admit the fact that they have such a vulnerability or a need.
Yeah, one thing we actually added to our product, because we do a scan of the small business website, we actually offer manual instructions for free to fix the problems that we find. And that actually went a big way, especially in the early adopters, that, you know, we weren't scaring the hell out of you. I mean, of course we're going to find a vulnerability. We sell vulnerability repair. But we found that giving the manual fix piece really helped overcome that initial skepticism and really won us a lot of early adopters.
So we do it quite similar to Chris. We have the diagnostic toolkit that allows you to find what the threats are. You have a free version that you can try for yourself and see what the threats are. We also encourage you to check our competitors in terms of the defensive solution and to check what kind of threats are being blocked by any other competitor in the world. Doesn't matter the size of the company, and us. And then you can choose for yourself if you want to buy the protection or not. That's about it.
Do you all feel more secure now? At least you know what's attacking you? Thank you, gentlemen, for educating us. Yeah. It's a pleasure. Go forth and be unstoppable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todah.